Streaming from Oklahoma's own digital studio, this is Beyond the Forecast.
Okay, we're excited. We're back. We're back. Beyond the Forecast is back here on YouTube.
Number 4.
Number 4.
How'd we get here?
It's just, you blink.
We want to thank all of the people who have supported all these years.
All the way back.
All the way back when we first began. You know what? This is a kind of a unique number 4, right?
It is.
We spoke at, we were at a weather conference.
Alabama.
Down in Alabama. And I think we both spoke a little bit different when we got back. Did you notice?
Yeah.
Hi.
Oh, there's a lot more of the eyes and the ass, yeah.
There's a lot of that going on.
For sure.
Anyway,
Huntsville.
yeah, down in Huntsville. So we were asked to speak on the wildfires we had back in March. Horrible day, big day, much advertised day,
Yeah.
no big surprises, as you know, we were talking about this big day coming. But it was kind of a unique perspective on how we covered that day.
Right. Because these were our colleagues. These were colleagues from across the country.
Yeah, everywhere.
Mets from all over were at this conference in Barron, in Huntsville for Barron, who does a lot of our technology. Our radar is from Barron. And they just wanted to say, hey, we saw the way you guys were using our technology, using Barron technology, and we thought it'd be cool to kind of present that. So we thought we'd present to you what was kind of going through your head when we were planning out and coordinating how we were going to cover those fires. That March 14th day.
You know, and I think we just, we approached it like we do any high-end severe weather day, right? We had all the weather teams in, storm trackers are out, and fires are a different animal, but kind of in the same box, you know. They're moving quickly, you don't know exactly what they're gonna do, and the threats are you can lose your life. So, you know, crazy day, ended up being a huge day, and gosh, some of the pictures and images are just out of control. Yeah,
horrific. And so whenever it was the days leading up to it, we were looking at the data, looking at what was going to be coming. It was going to be a Friday, and so we were forecasting what was going on. That kind of set the scene for what was going on in March in Oklahoma for those who may have forgotten, because this was months ago.
Well, you know, and also think about this. You know, we come out of you know, December, January, February, bone dry, so we have all this vegetation.
Yeah.
We had a super wet year the year before with all the tornadoes. Okay.
Right.
So we have lots of fuel, and then you throw in March. Going into one of our windiest months of the year, and dormant dry vegetation, and talking about how many days, you know, without any rain at all. March was, and February and March were almost bone dry.
They were.
Very little rain.
And so especially for like I-35 westward, just to spark your memory here, we had gone basically since Thanksgiving without rain. So we had gone through December, January, February, and now into March, and it's getting windier. So drought was a problem for sure. We kind of had a flash drought scenario. We knew we had all the dormant vegetation, and then we start looking at the data, and we can see this massive storm system that's going to come out.
Yeah, and it was a big storm. And at first, you know, we thought at least maybe I-35 East might have severe weather.
Yeah, we started that,
Yeah, like a week out, and then that continuously kind of progressed east, and we were just left high and dry with a lot of wind. But you know, wind starts from the top and works its way down. So that was an easy setup, big powerful storm moving into the plains. It's going to get windy, we're dry, and you're going to get fires. And you know, we're going to have severe weather off to our east. So that's exactly what happened.
A lot of the national headlines were starting with the bomb cyclone. Every time you see that in the headline, we start getting questions. This was forecasted to be a bomb cyclone, which is a meteorological term that's been around for a long time, but essentially a storm that drops 24 millibars in pressure in 24 hours. This was going to do that, and that not many storms do that, but what that does at the wind level and at the mid-levels of the atmosphere, we were talking almost 100-knot winds.
Yeah, right overhead. And they happen more obviously in the early spring as the jet stream winds are super, super strong. But you know, so the big wave of energy goes right across Oklahoma. Then we have the tornado outbreak to our east, and you know, other national storm trackers. They were not in Oklahoma that day. They were off into Arkansas, Missouri. Tornado outbreak. They were there, but our storm trackers, what they do is, you know, cover and protect the lives and try to give vital information to Oklahomans. And so we were all here. And it was just, you know, it unfolded early too. It's not like the wind picked up during the late afternoon. It was in the morning.
Mid-morning, it was already
already going.
So we had been talking about it all week, and one of the things that we had talked about in Alabama was the way we had forecasted and tried to communicate to the public what the threats were going to be, because this was going to cause power outages.
For sure.
No doubt people were going to lose power by the possible, tens of thousands.
For sure.
We knew that was going to happen because of winds. We were talking about how strong the winds were going to be, the wind timeline, and then we were getting into really pegging the scale with what we say for a fire threat day. This was going to be the top of the line.
Yeah, and anytime you see, winds, you get to 60 to 70, and they start to burn. It's not about you're not going to put a fire out. You just got to get out of the way. You can't contain that.
Right.
And that's what we were dealing with that day. And it started late morning with a few small fires, but between noon and 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock on, I mean, it was game on.
It was already game on.
It was game on.
And yeah, no doubt going to be a big, big day. Game on. So that morning, I had done the morning show. I went home to take a nap. You came in. You were here, I think, like 10 o'clock in the morning that day.
Yeah, it was pretty early.
To get ready for the noon show.
Yeah.
Because by noon, it was already...
Yeah, and just like a severe weather day, I'd already called the storm trackers.
Yeah.
They were already in the field. The wind was going to be too strong to get the helicopter up that day. So, that's a problem. But it is what it is. But we had our trackers out. We had Tulsa's storm trackers in the field, combining with ours to try to cover all this. So crazy, crazy number of fires.
It started at noon. So noon is when the show starts. There were already fires ongoing. Trackers were already out covering at least some large fires.
Yeah, but notice the shot here. The sky behind me is still blue.
Right. Yeah.
But it's crazy what happens just over the next hour to 2 hours. From where we go from, it looks, not a bad day.
Hazy.
Yeah, a little hazy, but not bad. And then the whole thing just begins to unravel. So, and we'll show this coming up with the satellite picture.
Right. How quickly the winds start picking everything up.
Yeah. And those graphics we touched on briefly about, over a week out, we were showing, power outages, extreme fire threat, dangerous, deadly fire threat. And it all happened. So it really was an easy forecast. It's not like whether we had severe weather or not. Yeah. We still were going to have crazy wind.
We knew no matter what, because of just, let's throw out what had happened kind of the days leading up to the big fires, but that day with that amount of wind, you were going to bring down power lines. Power lines were at least going to bounce. There were going to be some poles snapped. Knew that was going to happen. That alone was going to start fires, and that takes the human element out of it. But the problem is we were in the time of year where these controlled burns were taking place, and they were taking place up until Thursday.
There's one point on the air. I just became so frustrated through the week. We had controlled burns, and those are intentionally set burns. Farmers, ranchers,
vital.
And I get it.
Yeah.
But I just think, as a state as a whole, there were many failures that week. And I remember the day before this. This was Thursday, the day before, when the winds were lighter, not windy by any means. They were breezy, but and 40, 50. The whole map was just covered where people were like, "Oh, we got to get this out of the way."
Right.
And there was no thought from at any level that we ever saw.
This is a horrible idea.
Horrible idea. The week for, fires will burn into a log and they'll burn a month.
And we were showing that week. We had fires reigniting that had been started from a week before.
I know.
And the burning is so critical. We understand why they do it, but I remember specifically, and I don't even remember what day of the week it was, you said, hey, if this is you and this is your fire, you may kill your neighbor because of this.
Right.
But honestly,
I know.
Because there's no way that's going to be completely put out. So we knew leading up to that day from from the wind and the power lines, and that doesn't account for any additional fires that were going to get started.
Yeah. And you got a guy, we get it, lives out in the middle of nowhere and he burns his trash in a barrel. Yeah. Great, life's good. Except you can't do that 2 or 3 days before. That will reignite, and that's exact. Some of those were started by that too. If there was flames, the wind gets over it and it's a vacuum, and next thing you know, we have fire spreading, whether it's a log or whatever. It was just frustrating to me because we knew what was going to happen the next day. Yeah. And we all, power lines were going to do their own damage, trains, a guy dragging a chain.
Sure.
We knew we were going to have our own human part of this, but we had it ongoing throughout the week, and it was very disheartening that nothing was said, hey, no burns today, no burns this week, because we had said for over a week, hey, it's going to get crazy. And unfortunately, it did.
Yeah, it's like you could look ahead and you could see the disaster coming, and there wasn't really a whole lot we could do.
No, that's not our fault.
It was a helpless feeling.
Yeah,
helpless feeling because we were picturing, unfortunately, the way this could play out. And it exceeded my expectations of how the day was going to go from the number of fires. I had never seen anything like that in my career.
No, I mean, I've seen some events that are big. I think the day as a whole, I don't know that I'd quite seen it like that. The satellite picture, I don't remember ever seeing quite like that.
Yeah.
I mean, go back, find some stuff from the 80s and 90s. You're like, wow, look at that. That's pretty. But that was, I mean, we had smoke. We'll show it. Smoke going up into and through the dust. I mean, just little plumes. We were like, what's happening?
Yes.
What's happening?
And as the fires kept getting worse and worse. So as a weather team, I ended up coming back in, which was what we had planned to do. Megan had come back in, so Justin was here. Trackers were all out. Jed was in the field that day chasing fires.
Yeah, he was out.
And what was happening once the biggest fires took off and multiple fires took off across the metro was they were seeding down the line. So now we've got the smoke plume that we can see on radar, but underneath the smoke plume were dozens of fires.
Yeah.
There wasn't just one head.
No.
And it was kind of chaotic there for a good several hours.
Yeah, and people don't realize. People think, oh, there's one main fire, and like you said, we call it seeding, and that's where ember goes up, goes downstream at a high velocity, lands in somebody's backyard or field, and takes off again. So one fire will spark 3, 4, 5, 6, a dozen fires. Well, the firefighters are still back on the main head of the fire we really did never. Firefighters themselves never really did. A lot of these just burned themselves out and down. They just got into areas that couldn't burn anymore, and they quit because so many fires were just out of control and burned out of control for, all day. So
we had footage of so many firefighters putting their lives on the line because truly there wasn't a whole lot they could do, but they were trying. The ones that were out were getting in on homes. We have the video of the firefighters busting the window out of their fire truck.
Yeah, with Val.
Yeah.
That was out in, it was by Arnett, wasn't it?
I think so.
The Arnett fire. Yeah, when he was out there.
Yeah.
And then they're yelling at him to back up because they were
trying to move.
He locked the keys in the truck.
Yes.
The video.
Bad day.
Yeah. And then, Camargo was almost lost again, Arnett. Some of the, small towns out there literally were, I look back now, that's one of those days where I think that we're lucky that we didn't lose a town.
It was
Stillwater,
close. Stillwater,
Stillwater, southwest side of Stillwater. But at that
East
point,
Norman.
the winds were coming down a little bit, so we had a little bit of help. But, the fire warnings, at one point, I think we just started covering the map.
We did.
With fire warnings, because there were so many.
We would see like Cleveland County. Okay, we knew we had one, and then we were just hearing of dozens of fires in and around Lake Thunderbird, and so boom, warning for there. Trying to think of ways that we would be covering severe weather that we can now apply to this fire storm that's happening.
Yeah. Just you look at radar. We go back and look at some of these images here, and those look like precip streaks or streaks of maybe like of an anvil or storms taking off, and
it's smoke.
That's smoke. That's fire in the air and everything else that's racing northeast. So crazy day. More video of Val. These people are just trying to save this one house out of thousands of homes. So I think we skipped the first thing talking about the list of everything. Was that at the beginning or at the end?
The end.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just once the whole day was wrapped up.
Yeah.
Do you want me to show? Do you want me to
No,
pull it up?
you're fine.
All the stats of it.
I was just thinking about. Over 400 businesses and homes.
Yeah.
I think there might have been a few more than that, but just a crazy day. And the power outages, 190,000.
Insane
customers,
numbers.
Something like that.
Yeah, insane numbers. And what was crazy is going back and watching the coverage to put this together. At one point, you were saying on air dozens of homes. We know we've lost dozens of homes.
And I lost track.
Once you get to see the numbers, it's astronomical
Yeah.
of homes and businesses that were lost. The radar images are crazy. And then we were talking about the tornado outbreak that happened. Those supercells took off in eastern Oklahoma.
Yeah, they did.
And then they raced 2 EF4s, by the way, on the same day that we had all the fires driven by the wind.
Yeah, off to our east. But northeast Oklahoma County. And once again, Logan County probably had the, I have to go back and look. Maybe the most acres burned. Might have been.
Yeah.
In Logan County. East of Lazy E Arena. I don't know what it is. There's something about.
Is it all the cedar trees? That area, if you're driving through, it's mainly cedars.
I don't know. And you can speculate all day. On a day like that, you know, you hate to say it, but there are people that are weird. You're going to have arsonists. You're going to have things like that.
Yeah, and how would you ever know?
You wouldn't know. I mean, there's so much going on. It's chaos, and you know, at this point, I mean, you know, you're just trying to get people out of the way. And we kept saying that, if you don't leave, you know, if you see smoke and it's getting dark and it's coming at you, you have to get out or you will die.
Because the way the winds were driving the flames, you wouldn't see flames, and a minute later, it could be on top of your house. That's how rapidly everything was developing.
I mean, we're showing winds of 60 plus. We had the wind gust to 83, I think, at Frederick.
Yes.
So, I mean, that was an isolated, but I think 60 to 70 was pretty norm.
With no
70,
storms
75.
around. No storms.
And 0 storms.
And what's crazy is a storm is classified as severe if the winds are to 58 miles per hour. It's a severe storm, and we had sustained winds at that, and it's called a severe storm because that's when you can start to have damage. So we had damage. We didn't really get a chance to cover all of that, but tree damage, stuff like that was happening. Another thing that kept happening is wrecks on the road because one, limited visibility due to smoke, but there was limited visibility just from the debris in the air. It was so dusty. The air quality was horrific, and there were multi-car crashes on the interstates that day.
Yeah, all the way down to Lawton, here in the metro, northern Oklahoma.
I-44 shut down at one point.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't see. And, there are signs in Oklahoma that say do not drive into smoke during I-40 because we had a big crash back in the day. I think it was back in the 70s or 80s where quite a few people died. And so they made that just kind of but people are trying to get where they're trying to go, and they just don't think that, and they come up on whatever in front of them. So big day. The winds, I guess we noticed a drop off about 4 o'clock that day, I think, 4 to 5.
Yeah.
Still bad.
So no more 80s. The 70s started to become less and less, and I think the winds were more to like 50, 60.
Yeah, but still really windy.
Yeah.
And firefighters, and the day with that, looking back, I mean, we didn't have enough firefighters, which we would have had anyway. I mean, I just, you and I've talked about this. I just don't know that for what was coming, there wasn't a whole lot of planning on the government level. That's just my take. I mean, looking at everything that we knew, that we saw, I mean, I don't know what they're watching or what they're looking at, but
sure.
And I'm not going after anybody, but this could have been handled a lot different, and it should have been handled a lot different during the week leading up to.
Yeah, if nothing else, those days leading up when you knew what was going to be coming, and no one knew where the fires were going to be exactly. No one knew how many fires, but you knew any of those hot spots were going to reignite. Yeah. And we had a lot of them, a lot of embers sitting around by Friday morning.
Yeah, and the guy, like I said, was possibly burning a brush pile 3 or 4 days before. Yeah. But they should have done an all-state burn ban the week up. It's easy, burn ban. At least you're not going to get there's always a knucklehead out there that's going to burn. He's going to get it done and whatever, but. Most people would be, okay, hang on a second. We would promote it on TV. We would, show it. And I think it would have been a better deal. But, man, it was just burn, baby, burn. And then we get to Friday, and you're going to pay for it. So, bad at all levels.
It was. And then once we got to the afternoon, just looking back to that day, so 5:30, the winds had started to come down some. The humidity may have started to come up a little bit. I don't know that it helped at all. No. But then the fire southwest of Stillwater started, and those were burning into really highly populated areas and was threatening southwest Stillwater.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just south of 51. Yeah. I know.
They were evacuating like crazy.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is scary is trying to get that many people. I mean, it's not like the path of a tornado is a mile, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna leave, or I'm gonna go to my safe spot or do whatever. This is miles wide and miles deep, so you have a whole community or part of a town. Well, then you've got traffic jams, and then, but this is one of those situations where you cannot shelter in place.
Exactly.
You shelter in place, you die.
Bad things happen.
Yeah. So.
And how it was so scary for the folks in Stillwater because the fires were southwest of town. Yeah. The smoke was coming up over Stillwater, and there were embers dropping out of that. And so you're just looking around the neighborhoods, and honestly, we're lucky that more neighborhoods farther into Stillwater around campus did not catch on fire. Mm-hmm. Because of seeding down the line. Yeah, and one of the things we were showing too when we were in Alabama is the ability to zoom in and show homes. So we do that all the time during tornadoes or during severe weather. We'll show streets. We're showing where they are. Right. But this was a really, really sad commentary to show a picture from a storm tracker of the shell. Yes, a shell of a house left, and then zoom in on map and see what it looked like 20 minutes ago. Yeah. When their home stood there.
A couple of barns, pool in the backyard, and things like that. And Hank was right there, and there was nothing left. Yeah. And I mean, and there weren't any flames around. There were a few, but I mean, it was smoldering still. But I mean,
It burned everything.
It burned everything and kept going northeast. So Hank got right in the middle of that, and you know, it's just sad. But nothing around it. But again, you were on an island. You're fighting for your life. You know, there's nobody going to be there.
Yeah.
And this is what we hate days, you know, like this. And then, you know, we jump into the night, and it just keeps going. The wind's not as strong, but you know, too many fires and too few firefighters.
It was amazing to see for me, I think for everybody, to see the video from our storm trackers, because they get right in there. Chasing a tornado is so very dangerous. Chasing severe weather, extremely dangerous. Right. But they were getting right in there to show the flames. And again, their whole purpose is to keep people safe and to save lives. But by showing just how wild and chaotic it was in these scenes. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people were writing in worried for our storm trackers because the smoke's blowing in front of them, the flames are coming at them. They were fine, their vehicle's fine. Yeah. They know what they're doing, but it's just another element of what our storm trackers do. Yeah, I mean, it's dangerous. I mean, and all of our trackers, you know, the guys and gals that go out for us, I mean, our team, I mean, they know the risk, but we do worry about them. On severe weather days, we worry about them, and obviously on days like that, there were a couple of times where I was like, hang on, the flames are, hey Val, you know, the flames are right there. Yeah, I know. He's turning around. Right. You know, I'm like, you know, or Hank and Marty. You know that. You know, Marty. You know, retired firefighter. You know, and he's retired now from News 9. But I mean, a couple of times where there was that one picture. He was out by Arnett, and all I could see was dirt and smoke. I remember looking out and he shot. I was like, oh. And then all of a sudden you see just a wall. And we're talking flames that are 50, 60, 80 feet up. They look like they're this big. Sure. And Marty goes, that's 2 miles away or a mile away. I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, it was just a wall of death. And I'm thinking, okay. Yeah, okay, you start picturing. Kind of at the beginning, but anyway. When that was, around noon. Yeah. That early afternoon. And then you start thinking about the wildlife, but then you also start thinking about all of the cattle, all the livestock that farmers and ranchers are trying to protect, not to mention their homes. I mean, it was neighbor helping neighbor, but in a lot of cases it was kind of every man for themselves, just trying to stay alive and keep everything and everyone around them alive. Right. I don't know what the dollar figure. I haven't seen a final. I haven't either. Between livestock and and all that, and homes and businesses and infrastructure. Right. I haven't seen a dollar, but that was one of our most expensive days. Even looking back at some of the tornado days we've had. Yeah. That will go down as. For sure. I mean, we're not even talking about the Tulsa area. Exactly. It's just our area. Tulsa, our viewing area. Tulsa had problems too. They were on fire as well, all the way up to northeast Oklahoma. So there was one point Val was out, and he was on a home that had caught fire, and all that was left of it was there were still flames going on, and then you start hearing gunshots. Mm-hmm. Remember that video? We'll have to put that in too. It was up in Stillwater. Yeah. It was late that evening. I think he said he took a bullet in the side of the truck. Mm-hmm. So he was shot. Right. He wasn't. But I mean, seriously, I mean, what is happening? So, it was because a safe or some, I don't know if it was in a safe or what, but ammo in this house had caught fire and was going off. The rounds were going off. So of course it's not aimed. It's not as high powered as what it would be coming out of a rifle or a gun, but there were gunshots going off, just adding another layer to the chaos of the evening. And that house, that's the bullets are going off. There's nobody there. Right. There's no firefighters, which again, nobody's to blame. Sure. You know what I mean? That neighborhood it's on fire. And there's nobody there. They're out covering 2 blocks over or 2 miles over. So. What eventually Val said in his coverage, I think in the 10 o'clock newscast that evening, because you had said, "Hey, are there firefighters around here? Oh yeah. Is there? You know what I mean?" And he said, "You know, see anybody?" No. Yeah. He was like, "No. Essentially, they are watching for new areas, new homes that could go on fire. Not new as in year new, but additional fires that could catch on, homes that could catch on fire. New burns. Yes, because." These are already, they're done. Yeah. They're total loss at this point. Yeah, I think at one point we saw maybe a brush pumper go by him, and he just, you can't put out an anthill. You can, but you're not going to take on a house. So anyway, that's crazy. But some of the fallout, the forestry head of that was let go from that day, and he'd been there forever. There was a lot. There was fallout from it, and. Again, it just goes back to those days. Those days in our world are pretty easy. And so I don't know what the message isn't getting from this part of the government to this part of the government. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever the reasons were, there's no excuses for, frankly, how I think it was handled. I mean, there should have been some things that would have saved maybe lives. We had 4 fatalities. Yeah. And would have saved property. And
it wouldn't have been as bad. Still would have been bad. Things happen. Like
Fires were going to start from power. Yeah, they were going to be the natural causes. No matter what, that was going to happen.
Yeah, and the guy, Billy Doug, driving on I-35, dragging a chain from Texas, going to Nebraska.
Sure.
Okay. Things happen. So let's try to, litigate that. Let's try to bring that down and not have, but we just didn't. It was just, I'm all about proactive and let's try to prevent, but I don't know. I feel like we did. I feel like as a state, we just kind of
we'll deal with it Friday when Friday gets here.
Yeah, we'll deal with it Friday. It's too late. Too late. So yeah, there's the 83 mile per hour wind gust, Frederick.
The strongest wind
it's crazy.
in Mesonet history from a non-storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah. Okay.
That was the record,
yeah.
and it was the windiest day. As far as Mesonet goes, from all 63 sites, with 60, because there's more than 63 sites, but 63 sites had winds over 58 miles per hour, so above severe limits.
Yeah, and not just once, and not just for a minute.
Right, exactly.
But off and on for 5-6 hours.
Just continuous.
7 hours. We had zero visibility due to the dust and debris, and that satellite picture that we keep showing of the dust and the smoke coming up through the dust but that's still sitting on my computer in there. Every now and then I'm like, okay,
wow.
There's a reminder.
From a meteorological standpoint, just any standpoint, I mean, it doesn't matter. Looking at that and seeing the low and pulling the dirt up in it, and then it ended up going up. The smoke was up all the way to Kansas City from fires in the Oklahoma metro. At the Barron conference, I was talking to one of the Mets from Kansas City, and he was saying, I remember that day, and I remember how smoky it was. And we were saying in Kansas City, hey, this is from big fires going on down in central Oklahoma.
Yeah, yeah. And the dust came out of, people are like, where's that dust? Well, it comes from Oklahoma too, but if you look at satellite, a lot of that came off the higher plains of New Mexico where they'd been very dry.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, Clovis, Tucumcari, Hobbs, way down south and Midland, all through there. So that dust was taken from there and deposited here, and it was insane. So 270,000 people roughly without power.
Yeah, at its maximum.
At its max, so that's a lot.
People were without power for a very long time.
Yeah, for days.
And then 135 fires was kind of the most we could count at one point. We're 135 at one time, and that equated to about 170,000 acres burned. And
people got to realize when we're showing radar data, we can't see 135 fires. Some of those, the smoke stays down low or gets caught under another smoke plume. And also the farther away you get from the radar beam straight obviously doesn't hit all the smoke.
The low.
Yeah, the lower stuff. But 135. I mean, it's just, it's pretty crazy. I mean, and thankfully our drought, it was coming back and it was dry. But if we had just been in a raging drought where we had nothing.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying it would have been worse, but it could have been.
What it could have been.
What could have been much, much worse.
So it ended up being, the number we found, 530 was businesses and homes. 530.
Okay, that was the total. That's right. Yeah, it did go up to that. God, that's amazing.
And there were 200 injuries.
Yeah.
And then 4 fatalities.
Yeah. Logan County, the sun, and.
I mean, we had more Oklahomans lose their lives to fires than we did tornadoes this year.
Yeah.
And it was mainly from that one day.
One day we had that versus we've got 100 tornadoes.
Yeah.
This year so far, and we've had 2 fatalities, I think.
Was it 2 or 1? I'll have to go back and look.
I
know for sure of the 1, but it wasn't 4.
Yeah,
we ended up having more. We had more fatalities. Spalding.
Yeah, Spalding.
We had another fatality. We had multiple fatalities from flooding. Because what was crazy is we quickly went from this fire scenario. We still had more fires over the weekend.
Yes. By
April, we were dealing with widespread flooding.
Yeah, and people driving into water.
Yeah.
I know. So we completely flipped the
eradicated the drought.
We did, and literally within like 2 weeks, our drought was gone, and we were back into here we go again, and then big spring and all the flooding we led into. But it took care of all that. Now we have to think ahead. We've been so wet.
Right.
There's lots of vegetation. So after we dry out and get into winter and get back into spring, potentially next spring.
Do we see another fire season?
I mean, we get a big day in March.
Yeah.
And acres burned, that's our biggest month for acres being burned in Oklahoma. March going into the first 10 days of April. And then it drops off because we get wet and takes care of
greens
it.
Up and everything.
March is crazy.
And so what we're always trying to do is we have these conversations, the weather team has these conversations, the news team has these conversations of how do we prepare, what do we do better, how do we change our communication, and we just hope that there's more conversations going outside that are out of our control if and when this happens again.
Yeah. There needs to be more planning at the government level. I mean, there just wasn't. There was not much being put out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just didn't hear a whole lot. Just the fact that the controlled burns were lit all week long.
Speaking volumes
I mean,
to how,
It makes no sense to me. It's like, you know what? We're gonna have fires tomorrow, but let's just go ahead and put a big tanker of gasoline on the side of the road. And,
let it sit there.
It's crazy. Let it sit there, and that's what happened. So, hopefully, we've other powers that be have learned something, and the next go around we can try to bring this down at least a little bit. Common sense is worth a lot when it comes to days like this.
And it was just a wild day. In many ways, it was a historic day.
For sure.
So we constantly think about it. We're constantly analyzing, if something. And now I think we'll compare things to this when we're going through. You know what I mean?
March
Big
14th.
fire days. We'll keep comparing back to March 14th of 2025.
For sure. Yeah, horrible day, but I don't know. It was wild from starting all the way to the finish, and I still think it could have been worse. I mean, as far as fatalities.
Oh my gosh.
I do.
People were paying attention. They were getting the evacuation orders, and that saved lives.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the next thing we talk about will be also exciting.
What's that?
Well, we're figuring that out for our next episode. We can't ruin it.
I thought you were asking me what our next one's going to be. Oh, I've got a good one I've been thinking about.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Can you share with the class?
No, I can't. It's about tornadoes. We'll go that way.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Look forward to that.
Yeah.
And how that's going to play out.
Okay. All right.
If you have questions though, or if you have comments or ways that you think we can, help with fire warnings and that sort of thing, we always love to hear from viewers. So let us know for sure. And then coming up in our next episode, it'll be whatever exciting thing David has up his sleeve that he can't share with the class.
It's Emmy Award winning for sure. Not really. No, that'd be good. We'll come up with something.
Thank you for joining us this week.
See ya.